Okay, welcome to day 4. First bit of stuff. Thank you to my mate's mum, who I forgot to ask if I could mention her on my blog, so I won't use her name, and partner, because they chucked us this cool inverter thingy. As you can see, 150 watt inverter. Basically what that does, at this end you've got a 240 volt outlet and a pretty high powered USB outlet, both of which can be useful, and you can plug this end into a 12 volt socket, rather like the one that fits in my batteries there, grey thingy. So it means that I can run some reasonably low powered 240 volt devices should I need to, and I've got yet another USB socket to use for charging devices and stuff. Very, very useful. They also loaned us a trailer and their work truck and let us use their trade account at Bunnings, which was so awesome. Saved us a bit of money and whatnot. So thanks very much, guys, and cheers for showing us around your small footprint / tiny home that you've got there. Really, really interesting space. I felt so embarrassed because, like, by comparison, I'm the bodgiest motherfucker out there, and you guys' stuff was just so neat and clean and nice and well designed out and stuff, whereas I'm doing this tiny little box thing for me to live in, which is great for me, but your stuff was really impressive. Good stuff. Right, let's go have a look what we got yesterday. There was a huge rainstorm, which was heinous, so a lot of this wood got wet, but I've got some 88 by 32 decking timber there, which I'm actually using for most parts of my light frame and my walls and so forth. We've got our ply. I've got 8 sheets of that. And instead of getting pallet crates, we got some 4x2, which I've just drilled, screwed and assembled after cutting with my bro's skill saw. Cheers, buddy, for borrowing that. God, those things are scary. I hope I don't have to use it much. I just find it it's disturbing. And the cordless drill, which I love, saves so much time. So basically what we do, I think we mentioned this in one of our other videos, but we go through here. We've got a big drill bit. We've got a small drill bit. We drill a small hole, take out a bit of the top of that hole with a bigger drill bit, and then use our cordless driver to ram the screws in, and you end up with what we have here. Can we get that out of the sun? There we are. So the screws are sort of buried into the wood in the wider hole that we dug just at the top there, or drilled just at the top, and that's pinned our structure together. So we've got 2 of these going into each of our sections of 4x2 that we're doing here. Not the most accurate build, but it does fit the sheet of the ply, which is the main thing. The mark out we've got here, which I obviously didn't do with a ruler or anything, it's just using bits of 4x2 to measure the thickness, and then sort of hit roughly in the middle of that where we're putting our 2 screws, and then about that sort of halfway dimension across as well. So you can see they just kind of fit there at the thickest parts of the wood. Nutted all this together basically just by measuring off the ply sheet. After checking the measurements of that, the 4x2 and stuff, I noticed that the cut measurements are sort of about 3 to 8 millimeters out. But maybe that's just because my measuring tape's bung, because this 2.4 4x2 almost perfectly fits the 2.4 length on that ply, even though my measuring tape says they're out by varying degrees. Never mind. So we've built this frame. All we did was basically 3/8 of 24, so we measured 800 millimeters or 80 centimeters, and then out to 160 centimeters, and then we get ourselves to 2.4 here. Marked all our screw holes, or roughly we're going to put them, drilled them, tapped them, screwed them straight into these while sitting the whole thing on top of the sheet, just to sort of check it fit quite well. So what I'm going to do next is lay this frame down flat and throw that ply sheet on top of it, and then use my tiny little 30mm screws, which are in that little box down there, pin a few of them in, and then we'll have our floor and frame basic bit done. And I don't know, then I might have a beer and think of something else to do that probably involves using the skill saw, so maybe I shouldn't have a beer. I don't know, we'll suss it up. Anyway, I'll pause for now, and that's what we got so far. So far I've been probably working for, I don't know, I bought a lot of wood round from the front of the house and stuff like that. Actual construction time to do all of this while swearing away and just sort of making it up as I go along. I've got a rough sketch in my book, that's all I'm going off here. I don't have a plan or anything. It probably took about, I don't know, 15 minutes to throw that together. Another 10 or so and we'll have it all bolted down, and I'll show you a shot of that. Hopefully my phone doesn't crap out again, because I pause this video, do some more work, restart it, and yada yada, and that's how we get the one video for you on YouTube. I don't have any editing software or anything like that. I am just running on a phone, and I can't be bothered with editing at the end of the day. I just want to drink beer. So I kind of mentioned that a fair bit. Possibly an alcoholic. Never mind. Cool. Right, we'll pause for now, and we'll get back to you with some more stuff done. Right, because I'm an idiot, I've already screwed up. Not too badly though, but lesson to be learned, so we'll video that. I am constructing the heaviest of the 6 modules. This unit's going to be built out of all by myself here, and unfortunately I have to do it first, and this is the first good weather we've had, so I'm just going to do it by myself. But it's a little hard, you know, you need things sort of held in place. stuff like that to check square on them and whatnot. So first thing we've discovered is the frame that I built, because I built it by eye and it was guaranteed to happen, is a little bit out, but because it doesn't have the stress skin on it bolted on yet, as you can see there, it's a little flexible. That means it's a little like those bookshelves I showed the other day. Without the stress skin on, they're a little flexible and you can move them around. So what we're going to do is pin in a corner of the sheet, then pin in the opposite corner diagonally while pushing it into shape, and then just keep pinning as we go around and basically tie it into shape with the sheet of ply. That's fine, but what we did learn was it's a very dumb idea to countersink holes in thin ply, because the screw will rip straight the fuck through and just tear out. So fortunately I don't need full sheets of ply for most of the elements of my construction, so I'm just going to ditch this one back onto the pile, pull that screw out, and get another clean sheet to work with and not countersink the holes. In fact, I think we might just drill straight through the ply without even drilling it, because they are very small, quite sharp countersinking screws, and you can actually do that. So yeah, there's our lesson. Thin material, don't countersink, you'll just tear a hole in it. Cool. Righto folks, I was drinking a Red Bull because beer and power tools don't mix. Well, they do, but you know, not if you want to keep all of your fingers. I can't really see what I'm pointing at here because of the bloody light. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we're looking at the corner. So what we did was we pinned the corners, kicked it and sworred it until things lined up, and then pinned the other corners, and then basically gone along. Once all like 4 corners were done, put a screw in the middle of a length, and then screws in between. So we get screws about 1 every 30 centimeters along the horizontal there, and then about 1 every 40 centimeters along the side, doing the same thing, being sure that first of all we screwed into, where am I pointing? Yeah, here, where our framing is. You can see the screw go straight into the frame. Did it over there, then pinned in between on our side bar here, and then we've also put a screw every 30 centimeters roughly, or 300 mil, or whatever you like, foot, along where those horizontal frame members are in the sheet there. And all I did was I just got my tape measure, use a bit of wood or a bit of string or whatever, lined it up with my marks here on both sides, so I had a line across the sheet, and then just eyeballed it for where to put the screws, so that everything goes in the frame. Obviously screwing screws through the sheet into nothing is going to attach nothing. So yeah, so we've ended up using let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 14 plus 6, 20 screws around the periphery, plus another, so 26 screws all overall to get that sheet stuck on. And what we end up with, I'll just move my tape measure here and see if I can pick this up. Hang on, I'm going to have to put the phone down. Here we go. What we end up with is a nice solid frame that isn't going anywhere, where the sheet, this is why it's called a stress skin, is stressed and pulled into place against the frame, which loads our screws that are pulling it in horizontally. You don't want to load screws or nails if you can avoid doing it vertically, like along their length, because they'll just eventually tear through. When you load them horizontally across their length, screws and nails work quite well. So yeah, that's what we've got there. And you know, if needs be at any point, I can disassemble that whole lot in probably about 20 minutes, down to the sheet material and the length material and so forth. Otherwise, our secondary version of strip down is just that as a module. So that's our floor module, and then there's a roof module and 4 wall modules, one of which has got windows and doors and stuff in it, so that breaks down as well. So the next bit I'm going to do is pull out Mr. Skill Saw that scares me again. We're slowly getting used to him. Pull all the stuff out of my shelves and cut them to the size that I want, after having a bit of a think about how we want to do that. Then we will cut some of these lengths of wood to the 2.4 meter length, actually just a little bit less than that for what we're doing. I'll explain that later, and sort of test assemble all of that on top of our floor here. So you might get another bit more video showing that in a bit. It is, however, getting really, really hot out here. It's gone from too much wet to bloody hot. I'm a little bit worried about getting sunburnt and stuff, and I don't really like to use sunscreen, so listen to all my excuses for knocking off early. I want a beer. Anyway, I'll probably get back with the final video for the day, or add to this one, and yeah, but there you go, pretty piss easy. Whole bunch of screws, bit of squaring, and we've got ourselves a floor. Choice. Alrighty team, starting to feel a little bit faint from the heat now. So we'll knock off for the day after a bit of a clean up. So what we've done is we've hacked these chunks of stuff here off the bottoms of those bookcases after upending them, which results in this. I've just tacked them with a couple of screws each to the floor where we want them. You see before, not quite flush with the end. I don't know if you can see this, I can't really see it on the screen. Backlight, there we go. So they're just recessed back by about the ply thickness, slightly more off the end, and then they're flush with the sides. Now what's going to happen when we construct is our side plies on this side is going to start at the bottom of the floor, bolt into that frame, come straight up here against this and bolt into this as well. But on this side, it's actually going to sit on the floor and bolt into the bookcase and other frame members going up. Hence recessing the bookcases off the ends a little bit. Same on this side, the other end here. And as you can see, these aren't bolted in place, they were just put there for the purposes of measurement on the nearest available shelf. There's not so many shelves as there were in these the other day because they have these little steel pin things in there. You've got adjustable shelves. So the other shelves just sitting inside. But we measured up these two runners and we cut the tops of the bookcases with a circular saw, which may possibly have a slightly bent blade or some other issue there. It seems to keep cutting in curves, and this is chipboard. You shouldn't really cut thin chipboard bullshit like this with a circular saw. It's far too powerful, so it basically explodes its way through the cut as opposed to just zipping through there nicely. But I don't have a jigsaw or a handsaw to hand, so we may do, which has given us a rough cut. My margin for inaccuracy at the tops of all these cuts is about 2 or 3 millimeters. I measured them all again after cutting them, and yeah, some of them are bang on, some of them are a little bit out. As you can see, it's a bit rough here. So what we're going to do is these runners actually go to the top, and they will support the mezzanine, be bolted into the wall and various other bits, and support our ply deck that goes on there. I better get access to another saw actually, because I've got to cut an entire 2400 ply length into 600 wide to go on top of these bookcases, and I'm wondering if that rip saw is really the tool for the job. And yeah, all of this construction work is going to require people to sort of give me a hand to hold bits in place and hold them level while we do it. But the good thing is, when we bring these runners up to the top, I can get people to hold them with a spirit level on there, actually check where the level is, get it right, and then pop them in place and stuff. If I'm doing it by myself, then shit, I can't even hold both ends up at the same time. It's a bit of a problem. So yeah, I reckon we'll knock off for the day. But you're starting to sort of see how things are going to go together here. Obviously there's the floor, you got your floor plan, 2 bookcases that support the end walls to some degree, with some other additional framing going on there, or will be. Underneath that space, at the height of the bookcases, so there's a mezzanine goes on top, you sleep on top of that. There's about 80 centimetres of space above the mezzanine to sit up in, on the wee mezz bit there. Underneath it is a sit down only space where I will have desks, a mini desk and stuff. At this end, roughly on the side I'm going to be using, I think this is the end to do it on. I can do it on either, but this end will have windows and doors. Down this end we'll have the sit down only space, so the desk will be over here. Sit down only space over here. When you get under the mezzanine, there'll be a little micro kitchenette thing built into the shelving unit, and then right beside it here will be a walled off section that's about from the end towards me about 1 metre long, and obviously the 60 centimetres wide there, which will be walled off into a little toilet shower unit, which I can just barely slot into. But I won't be building that in stage 1. Stage 1's just building the actual house thing itself. We'll be putting the toilet in stage 2, if at all. Don't really need it on this side of one here because I just use these guys bog and shower, but you know, eventually I want a fully self-contained unit, and with a composting system underneath the floor and a bunch of other cool stuff like that. Anyway, I reckon I've done enough for the day, so I'm going to pack up, have a beer, chill out and have a bit more of a think about how to approach the rest of this design. Cheers for watching all, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow.